The galaxy had always underestimated humanity, seeing Earth as a quiet, insignificant world whose species was clever enough to survive on their own planet but utterly inconsequential on the cosmic scale. And for decades, alien fleets and councils had assumed that any engagement with humans would be an exercise in easy dominance, sending scouting parties and small fleets to test offenses, only to encounter strange and unanticipated resistance that confused commanders who were used to instant compliance from most worlds they contacted, and it began with simple encounters at the fringes of human space, where the first probe were intercepted not with overwhelming firepower but with tactics that revealed a deep understanding of spatial geometry and physics that the aliens had not expected, using orbital positioning, gravitational manipulation, and rapid adaptive maneuvers that made human vessels appear almost as if they anticipated enemy moves before they happened. And while initial attacks were shrugged off as minor annoyances, it became clear as the first skirmishes unfolded that humans were not just reactive but innovative, improvising solutions that leveraged both their ship's capabilities and the environment around them, turning asteroids, debris fields, and the unpredictable currents of subspace into lethal assets. And when larger fleets arrived, expecting to crush these seemingly primitive humans, they found themselves outmaneuvered, misled, and eventually trapped by strategies that combined centuries of scientific knowledge with an instinctive understanding of risk and reward that alien commanders could not fathom, as humans used coordinated feints, simultaneous assaults from multiple vectors, and sudden reversals of course to sow confusion, all while communicating with almost unbelievable efficiency despite being under fire, and the aliens, accustomed to hierarchical command chains and rigid adherence to protocol, could not adapt fast enough. Their formations breaking apart under pressure as human squads executed maneuvers that seemed chaotic but were calculated to exploit the weaknesses in every alien design and doctrine, and even their supposedly superior weaponry often backfired because humans had studied their opponents meticulously using observational satellites, intercepted communications, and direct engagement data to anticipate enemy tactics and counter them with precision. And every time an alien race celebrated presumed victory, claiming a human outpost or a small fleet as a conquest, the humans retaliated in ways that were devastating and disproportionate to the scale of the initial attack, striking logistical hubs, supply chains, and command centers with surgical efficiency, leaving alien commanders shocked that their seemingly unstoppable armadas were crippled by what they initially believed were merely scattered and disorganized human responses. And on Earth, the scientists, engineers, and military strategists who designed these countermeasures worked tirelessly, combining centuries of accumulated human knowledge, including ancient mathematical techniques rediscovered from long-lost civilizations, modern computational models, and a deeply ingrained culture of problem-solving that valued flexibility over rigid doctrine, allowing them to devise solutions in hours that alien fleets could not anticipate in months. And as word of each human victory spread across the galaxy, it became a mixture of disbelief, fear, and grudging respect, with alien diplomats attempting to negotiate peace treaties only to realize that the humans would not simply yield to intimidation, but would carefully evaluate the cost of every decision, sometimes feigning weakness to lure the overconfident into traps that were elegant in their simplicity yet catastrophic in execution, and battles became psychological as well as physical contests, with alien officers second-guessing every move while humans maintained calm, confident coordination, exploiting every hesitation, misjudgment, or cultural misunderstanding to devastating effect. And it was not just military prowess that humans displayed, but a resilience and adaptability that seemed almost alien in itself, able to repair ships under fire, reroute power in seconds, and make split-second strategic decisions that maximize their effectiveness while minimizing risk. And the psychological impact on alien forces were profound, as experienced commanders, who had never failed in centuries of interstellar warfare, suddenly found themselves unable to predict the humans' next move, while lower-ranking officers looked to their leaders for guidance only to see them falter under pressure, and entire armadas that had set out with confidence to subjugate humanity ended up crippled, scattered, or forced into humiliating retreat, while the humans, seemingly outnumbered at every turn, emerged with minimal losses, their fleets intact, their colonies secure, and their reputation growing exponentially as tales of catastrophic alien miscalculation spread from system to system, leading to a paradox where the greater the alien force, the more catastrophic their own errors became, and humans learned to exploit this, drawing larger enemies into traps, feeding them misinformation, and using the inherent overconfidence of their opponents against them. And yet, even as they demonstrated these overwhelming advantages, humans maintained a strange restraint, never annihilating worlds unnecessarily, often sparing civilian populations and capturing enemy vessels intact to study and understand them further, showcasing a strategic patience and morality that alien species often lacked. And as battles raged across star systems, from icy frontier worlds to densely populated core planets, humanity's ingenuity seemed limitless, inventing new technologies mid-conflict, improvising weapons and shields, using environmental phenomena such as solar flares, magnetic storms, and asteroid belts as tactical tools, and integrating these naturally occurring forces into coordinated attacks that alien engineers could not counter because they had never faced an opponent willing to bend the universe itself to their strategy. And even when diplomacy was attempted, humans used negotiation as an extension of warfare, setting traps and contingencies that left opponents bewildered and defeated without a single shot being fired, creating a reputation that spread faster than any fleet could travel, where alien races whispered warnings to one another, recounting how humans had taken fleets larger than anything their combined forces could muster and render them useless. And this pattern repeated over decades, with humanity always outnumbered, always assumed weak, and yet every attack against them turning into a disaster of immense scale for their opponents. And behind the scenes, human scientists and leaders constantly analyzed alien psychology, communication, and strategy, exploiting cultural blind spots, ethical assumptions, and predictable behavior patterns, turning what the galaxy assumed were invincible armadas into cautionary tales of hubris and underestimation, while human society itself remained remarkably resilient, with civilians contributing to logistics, intelligence, and engineering efforts that allowed military actions to succeed beyond what raw numbers would suggest. And over time, the galaxy's perception of humans shifted from amused contempt to terrified respect, as the realization set in that the species which had seemed so weak, isolated, and primitive was in fact a master of adaptation, coordination, and tactical brilliance, capable of turning even overwhelming odds into a stage for their ingenuity and decisiveness. And as humanity continued to thrive, expand, and defend its territories, the humans themselves treated each confrontation not as a moral crusade or an exercise in conquest, but as a necessary defense and demonstration of competence, showing a discipline and ethical approach that further confounded aliens who equated power with ruthlessness and cruelty. And this combination of strategic superiority, moral restraint, and rapid innovation created a pattern in which every alien attack, no matter how carefully planned or numerically overwhelming, inevitably became a catastrophe for the attacker, leaving behind wreckage, shattered command hierarchies, and a galaxy-wide lesson in the danger of underestimating the human race. And even centuries-old treaties and alliances between alien empires began to crumble as their leaders debated whether continued aggression against humans was worth the near certainty of catastrophic losses. And throughout this period, human culture, history, and philosophy played an unseen role in shaping these outcomes, as the same resilience and ingenuity that allowed civilizations on Earth to endure plagues, wars, and environmental catastrophes were translated into interstellar strategy, giving humans an almost instinctive edge in chaotic and uncertain scenarios. And by the time the galaxy fully recognized humanity's capabilities, the species had already cemented a reputation not merely as survivors, but as masters of asymmetrical warfare, innovators of tactical brilliance, and guardians of the balance of power in ways no alien race had anticipated, ensuring that every future engagement, no matter how seemingly advantageous for the attackers, carried with it the very real possibility that humanity would transform it into a catastrophe of unprecedented scale. As the humans expanded their presence beyond the Sol system, the alien civilizations that had once dismissed them as a minor nuisance began to realize the scale of their miscalculation, and this realization did not come gradually but in violent, shocking bursts. As human fleets operating in what were previously considered remote and unimportant sectors annihilated scouting parties and supplied convoys with precision that confounded every assumption about alien superiority, and every engagement reinforce a growing pattern that no matter how large the attacking force or how sophisticated the technology, humans seemed always to have anticipated their moves, exploiting overconfidence and rigid doctrines in ways that caused entire alien fleets to collapse under pressure, while humans themselves maintained a calm, methodical approach, never overextending, always consolidating gains, and using intelligence and diplomacy as additional tools of war, carefully cultivating alliances with weaker species that had been exploited or oppressed by dominant galactic powers, creating a network of support that provided both material and informational advantages. And when humans intervened to rescue these allies during conflicts, the results were catastrophic for the aggressors, who found themselves facing not only human forces but coordinated coalitions that leveraged every cultural and technological strength available, turning what had been straightforward campaigns of conquest into chaotic disasters. And the galaxy quickly learned that humans combined individual brilliance with collective coordination at a scale unmatched elsewhere, with command structures that encouraged initiative, rapid adaptation, and creative problem-solving at every level, meaning that even junior officers could execute complex operations that would have required centralized directives in alien navies. And this flexibility made humans incredibly resilient, capable of turning surprise attacks or ambushes to their advantage. And as humans deployed more advanced technologies, ships equipped with adaptive shielding, weapons that could change frequency to bypass enemy defenses, and engines capable of unpredictable maneuvers, the sense of awe and dread among alien commanders only grew, as strategies that had never failed against countless other civilizations proved useless against human ingenuity. And while humans were not motivated by conquest or domination, their sense of loyalty, protection, and strategic foresight led them to preemptively neutralize threats whenever necessary, often with a subtlety that left the aggressors questioning how such outcomes could occur. And the psychological impact on alien societies was profound, as propaganda and cultural expectations of human weakness were shattered, leading to widespread panic in some sectors, political instability in others, and a growing fear that the species they had once ignored could not only defend itself but shape the destiny of entire regions of the galaxy. And even when humans allowed for negotiations or truces, they did so on terms that reflected careful planning and leverage, ensuring that any future engagement would be in humanity's favor. And their ability to integrate rapidly captured technologies, analyze enemy strategies, and exploit seemingly minor oversights made them a nightmare for traditional military thinking, turning numerical superiority into a liability for the opposition, as alien forces struggled to coordinate against an opponent that seemed always to be 3 steps ahead. And even among the civilians of human worlds, there was a culture of contribution, where engineers, scientists, logisticians, and communicators all played roles that magnified the effectiveness of military operations, demonstrating that humanity's strength was not just in its fleets or weapons, but in the very fabric of its society, which encouraged innovation, resilience, and cooperation under pressure. And as each campaign unfolded, it became increasingly clear that no alien race could predict with certainty the outcomes of engagements with humans, because the species had learned to turn every challenge into an opportunity, to convert every disadvantage into a tactical advantage, and to operate under pressure with clarity of purpose that was unmatched. And this led to a string of increasingly audacious victories, from the destruction of advanced warships by fleets half their size, to ambushes of entire armadas using environmental hazards and adaptive strategies that exploited weaknesses in alien psychology and engineering. And as reports of these feats spread, even the most conservative alien analysts had to acknowledge a terrifying truth. Humanity, though outnumbered, was capable of reshaping the balance of power across entire sectors, and any plan to attack, intimidate, or coerce humans had to contend with the very real possibility of catastrophic failure. And yet, humans themselves remained grounded, continuing to expand cautiously, study alien societies, and prepare for threats that had not yet emerged, always with an eye toward long-term survival, ethical responsibility, and strategic advantage, turning every encounter into a demonstration of both competence and restraint. And as decades passed, the reputation of humanity as a species whose every engagement against them became a catastrophe spread like wildfire, reshaping galactic diplomacy, military strategy, and cultural expectations. And even the most aggressive civilizations began to hesitate, calculating the immense risk of provoking humans unnecessarily, because history had proven over and over that a species underestimated, mocked, or attacked would respond with precision, ingenuity, and devastating effectiveness. And this shift in perception altered the very fabric of interstellar politics. As alliances were rethought, conflicts were avoided or postponed, and humans found themselves in position of influence far beyond what anyone had imagined possible just a century before. And every time a new alien fleet approached, confident in their numerical and technological superiority. The pattern repeated. The attackers, unaware that the humans' combination of tactical brilliance, societal cohesion, adaptability, and moral discipline would transform their aggression into their own undoing, turning victories into disasters, calculations into catastrophes, and leaving the galaxy forever aware that humanity, though often outnumbered, was a force that could not be ignored, dismissed, or underestimated. And in this crucible of conflict, the human race refined its skills, its ethics, and its understanding of the galaxy, proving time and again that even against overwhelming odds, resilience, ingenuity, and strategic brilliance could not only secure survival but turn every attempt at domination into a cautionary tale of cosmic proportions, ensuring that the story of humanity's rise will be told in awe, fear, and reluctant respect for generations across the stars. The humans' reputation as an unstoppable force continued to grow as they engaged in increasingly complex campaigns across multiple star systems simultaneously, demonstrating a mastery of strategy, logistics, and improvisation that alien civilizations had never encountered before, and each engagement revealed new aspects of human ingenuity. From the rapid deployment of modular fleets that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle to specialized units trained in exploiting environmental conditions and enemy behavioral patterns. And while aliens relied on predictable formations, rigid hierarchies, and long-established doctrines, humans thrived on adaptability, decentralization, and the ability to make split-second decisions that maximize efficiency and minimize casualties. And as the first true interstellar wars against humanity unfolded, alien commanders began to notice a pattern that terrified even their most experienced officers. Every attempt to overwhelm the humans numerically resulted in catastrophic failure, and every technological advantage they believed they held was countered by human innovation, whether through hacking enemy systems, redirecting energy flows, or using advanced predictive algorithms to anticipate maneuvers before they were even executed. And it was not just military technology that humans excelled at, but psychological warfare and diplomacy as well, as they leveraged misinformation, feints, and cultural insights to destabilize enemy alliances, create confusion within command structures, and turn previously cohesive forces against themselves. And this multidimensional approach to conflict made humans uniquely dangerous, as their enemies found themselves fighting on multiple levels simultaneously, often unable to distinguish between genuine threats and deliberate diversions, while human leaders coordinated with precision, balancing offense, defense, and strategic deception in ways that alien minds struggle to comprehend. And as humans continued to expand, rescuing oppressed or threatened species and forging alliances with previously subjugated civilizations, they created networks of support that amplified their capabilities even further, providing intelligence, resources, and manpower that allowed human fleets to operate at a scale and efficiency unmatched anywhere in the galaxy. And the impact of this approach was devastating to alien morale, as seasoned commanders who had conquered entire systems with ease suddenly found themselves outmaneuvered, outsmarted, and humiliated by what they had assumed were primitive, disorganized humans, and each new encounter only reinforced the lessons that no alien race could ever take humanity lightly, because a combination of tactical genius, adaptability, ethical restraint, and unwavering determination meant that humans would exploit any misstep, any overconfidence, and any assumption of superiority, turning even minor skirmishes into dramatic reversals and catastrophic losses for their opponents. And in the midst of these conflicts, human society itself proved to be a strategic asset, with civilian scientists, engineers, medics, and logisticians contributing to the war effort in ways that magnified the effectiveness of every military operation. And this integration of society into strategy meant that humanity could sustain prolonged engagements across vast distances while still innovating and adapting to new threats, ensuring that no alien force, regardless of size or technology, could predict or contain them. And as the decades passed, humanity's methods evolved further, incorporating lessons learned from every engagement, analyzing alien culture and psychology to anticipate not just tactical moves but strategic intentions, and developing adaptive technologies that could be deployed in real time to exploit vulnerabilities in alien designs, while still maintaining an ethical code that valued life, cooperation, and restraint, which confounded enemies who equated power with ruthlessness and conquest. And the combination of these factors created a situation where humans were always outnumbered, yet always had the advantage, turning what should have been impossible battles into decisive victories. And as alien civilizations attempted to coordinate massive campaigns to eliminate human influence, they discovered that their own size and complexity became a liability. As humans struck with precision, agility, and creativity, neutralizing supply lines, isolating fleets, and forcing engagements on terms dictated entirely by human commanders, and the result was a series of cascading disasters for those who dared to challenge humanity, where fleets were lost, colonies abandoned, and entire strategic plans rendered obsolete in moments, while humans, seemingly always prepared for every eventuality, emerged largely unscathed, their reputation growing not through reckless aggression but through disciplined, intelligent, and often surprising responses to threats, and this reputation created a new era of caution and respect across the galaxy, as even those alien civilizations that had not yet encountered humans firsthand adjusted their strategies to avoid confrontation, recognizing that underestimating the species came with catastrophic consequences, and while humans continued to advance technologically, diplomatically, and militarily, they remained guided by principles of ethics, loyalty, and long-term strategy, ensuring that every victory reinforced not just their dominance, but the narrative that a species underestimated and outnumbered could, through ingenuity, coordination, and unwavering resolve, turn every attack into a catastrophe for those who thought themselves superior. And as humanity's influence spread, from uncharted frontiers to the heart of galactic politics, the pattern remained consistent, no matter the scale of the threat, no matter the sophistication or arrogance of their opponents. Humans adapted, improvised, and executed strategies that led to their triumph, proving to all who observed that resilience, intelligence, and unity were far more decisive than sheer numbers or technology alone, and that in a galaxy where countless civilizations had assumed dominance, humanity alone had redefined the rules of engagement, demonstrating that even when outnumbered, a species guided by purpose, creativity, and determination could reshape the balance of power across the stars, leaving a legacy of cautionary tales, respect, and enduring awe in their wake. And the history of interstellar warfare would forever remember that when humans were attacked, the consequences were not just defeat for the aggressors, but catastrophic upheaval that reverberated across systems, empires, and cultures, and that in the vast tapestry of the galaxy, humanity had proven itself the singular force capable of turning every assault into a story of triumph, resilience, and the unstoppable power of a species that refused to be underestimated. As humanity's reputation solidified, the galaxy began to recognize patterns in every engagement. Whenever alien fleets attempted to assert dominance, humans countered with a combination of foresight, adaptability, and precision that seemed almost preternatural, and this was not due to luck but to the meticulous preparation, rigorous training, and the cultural emphasis on problem-solving and resilience that had been ingrained in human society for millennia. And while alien civilizations often relied on brute force, overwhelming numbers, and technological superiority to achieve their objectives, humans leveraged strategy, innovation, and environmental mastery to offset numerical disadvantages, using unorthodox tactics such as deploying decoy fleets, exploiting gravitational anomalies, and harnessing natural cosmic phenomena to disrupt enemy maneuvers. And even the most sophisticated alien sensors and prediction algorithms proved incapable of anticipating human improvisation, which blended scientific analysis with instinctive decision-making honed by generations of survival under unpredictable and sometimes hostile conditions. And as human campaigns extended into contested regions of space, they demonstrated an unprecedented ability to coordinate multi-theater operations across hundreds of light years, seamlessly integrating intelligence, logistics, and tactical execution while maintaining morale, cohesion, and situational awareness, and this capability became a nightmare for alien planners whose traditional command structures could not respond quickly enough to prevent cascading failures, miscommunication, and unintended consequences. And yet humans were not mindless conquerors. Their philosophy emphasized restraint, ethics, and calculated action, so that even as they inflicted catastrophic damage on those who attacked or threatened them, they often spared civilian populations, preserved critical infrastructure, and rehabilitated systems and societies for long-term stability. which further baffled alien observers who equated power with destruction and domination, and these acts of measured restraint reinforced a perception that humans were not only tactically brilliant but morally sophisticated, capable of wielding extraordinary power without descending into recklessness, and as the decades passed, the record of humanity's victories accumulated into a legendary pattern: outnumbered, underestimated, and often dismissed, humans consistently turned every attack against them into a catastrophe for their adversaries, whether through technological ingenuity, environmental exploitation, psychological manipulation, or adaptive strategy, and this pattern reshaped interstellar military doctrine, forcing alien civilizations to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about combat, intelligence, and diplomacy, and in many cases, this reevaluation led to internal political turmoil as leaders faced backlash for failing to anticipate human capabilities, as fleets were destroyed, colonies lost, and previously secure supply lines disrupted in ways that alien commanders had never imagined possible, and yet humans themselves continued to evolve, combining the lessons of history with ongoing innovation to refine their technology, strategy, and societal structures, ensuring that no threat could be underestimated twice, and their ability to integrate allies, coordinate across cultures, and execute operations with surgical precision made every engagement a multidimensional puzzle that humans solved with creativity, intelligence, and speed unmatched elsewhere in the galaxy. And when humans encountered new alien species or previously unknown technologies, they adapted almost instantaneously, incorporating new information into existing strategies, exploiting weaknesses, and turning unfamiliar challenges into advantages. And the psychological effect on alien civilizations was profound, as fear, uncertainty, and hesitation replaced the confidence and arrogance that had previously characterized interactions with other species, and even the most aggressive alien powers learned to delay or reconsider actions against humans, knowing that their numerical superiority, advanced weapons, or centuries of tactical experience were no guarantee of success, and this caution became a form of indirect human influence, reshaping diplomatic relations, trade agreements, and military posturing across entire sectors of the galaxy, as civilizations adjusted to the reality that provoking humanity carried an almost inevitable risk of catastrophic consequences, and yet humans did not exploit this fear recklessly, instead using it to stabilize regions, protect weaker species, and secure long-term strategic objectives, demonstrating a combination of intelligence, foresight, and ethical leadership that became the hallmark of their civilization. And the outcomes of these engagements were consistently extraordinary. Alien fleets, twice or three times larger than human forces, were neutralized, supply chains disrupted, command hierarchies shattered, and even technologically superior adversaries found themselves outmaneuvered, outthought, and ultimately defeated, while humans suffered minimal losses and maintained operational integrity. And these victories were achieved not through chaos or luck, but through the careful integration of intelligence, strategy, and technology, combined with a culture that emphasized resilience, creativity, and moral responsibility. And the more humans were challenged, the more their ingenuity and coordination amplified their effectiveness, creating a cycle in which every attempt to suppress, intimidate, or overwhelm them ended in disaster for the aggressors. And as news of these victories spread, the galaxy came to view humans as an almost mythic force, capable of turning adversity into opportunity, weakness into strength, and numerical disadvantage into decisive advantage. And even those alien races that had never directly encountered humans adjusted their policies, fleet deployments, and diplomatic approaches in anticipation of possible conflict, recognizing that the cost of underestimating humanity was far too great. And throughout this period, humans remained driven not by conquest or greed, but by a disciplined focus on survival, ethical action, and the protection of allies and innocents, demonstrating that the combination of intelligence, ingenuity, and moral responsibility could amplify power to levels that no amount of numbers or technology alone could counter, and the pattern became unmistakable. Wherever humans were present, every attack against them, no matter how confident or overwhelming, became a catastrophe for their enemies, reinforcing the lesson that a species underestimated and outnumbered could, through discipline, creativity, and resolve, reshape the balance of power across the galaxy, leaving an enduring legacy of awe, respect, and cautious admiration that would define human influence for centuries to come. And as a human continued to explore, defend, and innovate, They did so with the quiet confidence of a species that had learned to turn every threat into opportunity, every engagement into a lesson, and every catastrophe inflicted on their enemies into a testament to the extraordinary capabilities of humanity, ensuring that no civilization would ever again treat them as weak, insignificant, or predictable. As humanity's influence spread across multiple star systems, their enemies began to realize that they were not facing a single isolated species, but a civilization capable of orchestrating operations on a scale that rivaled or surpassed entire fleets, and every engagement, from minor skirmishes to full-scale wars, showcased humans' ability to leverage every advantage, both technological and environmental, while maintaining remarkable discipline and cohesion, and even when confronted with entirely novel threats, humans adapted almost instantaneously, developing countermeasures, altering tactics, and improvising solutions that confounded alien assumptions about warfare, technology, and strategy. And what made humans particularly formidable was the way their society was integrated into every aspect of conflict: engineers, scientists, medics, logisticians. And even civilians contributed to operations in ways that amplified efficiency, effectiveness, and adaptability, ensuring that, even when outnumbered, humans could operate with a level of coordination and foresight unmatched in the galaxy. And as alien commanders attempted to overwhelm human forces with superior numbers or advanced technology, they discovered again and again that these advantages were neutralized by human ingenuity, whether through the use of deceptive maneuvers, adaptive weapons, or psychological strategies that turned overconfidence into disaster. And this consistent pattern created a reputation that spread rapidly across the galaxy. Humans were a species whose every engagement against them became catastrophic for the aggressor, and the psychological impact of this reputation was profound, causing hesitation, fear, and second-guessing among fleets, alliances, and governments that had once taken their superiority for granted. And as humans continued to defend themselves and their allies, they demonstrated an almost unparalleled ability to synthesize knowledge, combining intelligence gathered from prior engagements, intercepted communications, and alien cultural insights to anticipate enemy decisions and exploit weaknesses before they could be acted upon. And this foresight, combined with rapid technological adaptation, meant that even the most sophisticated alien war machines and strategies were often rendered ineffective almost immediately, while humans themselves suffered minimal losses, further reinforcing the perception that attacking them was a gamble with catastrophic potential. And yet humanity did not rely solely on military might. Diplomacy, alliances, and cultural understanding became equally potent tools, as humans leveraged relationships with weaker or oppressed species, coordinated intelligence networks, and even mediated disputes among rival alien factions to create conditions favorable to their own security and strategic objectives. And this combination of military, diplomatic, and societal strength made humans uniquely resilient, able to operate effectively on multiple fronts simultaneously while maintaining ethical standards that often contrasted sharply with the ruthlessness of their opponents. And as centuries of encounters accumulated, the historical record of human victories, even when outnumbered, became a textbook for both awe and fear, demonstrating that resilience, creativity, and disciplined coordination could outweigh raw numbers, superior technology, or centuries of tactical experience. And alien civilizations learned, often too late, that a species underestimated, mocked, or attacked would respond with a combination of precision, ingenuity, and moral intelligence that turned aggression into catastrophe, destabilizing fleets, undermining command hierarchies, and creating ripple effects that altered entire sectors of the galaxy. And in every engagement, humans demonstrated an uncanny ability to integrate new information, technologies, and strategies, rapidly converting potential disadvantages into opportunities. And even when faced with devastating losses or unexpected setbacks, they adapted, recovered, and struck back with renewed force, creating a cycle of conflict that consistently ended with their enemies suffering catastrophic consequences, while humans emerged stronger, wiser, and more strategically dominant. And as their influence expanded, humans became both a stabilizing and destabilizing force. Stabilizing in the sense that they defended allies, preserved civilizations, and maintained ethical standards, and destabilizing because any aggression against them was almost guaranteed to result in overwhelming disaster for the aggressor, and this dual role reinforced their reputation as a species whose every encounter with adversaries was defined by both ingenuity and consequence, and over time, this reputation led to a galaxy-wide recalibration, as fleets, governments, and entire species adjusted strategies to avoid direct confrontation with humans, recognizing that numerical superiority, advanced weapons, or traditional doctrines were insufficient against a species that combined creativity, adaptability, and moral intelligence in ways that no alien civilization could fully anticipate, and yet humans themselves continued to expand, explore, and innovate, always prepared to defend their territories and allies, leveraging both technology and strategy in ways that maximize efficiency, minimize collateral damage, and ensured decisive results. And as centuries passed, humanity's influence became synonymous with both caution and respect. Caution for those who might underestimate them, respect for those who understood the combination of discipline, ingenuity, and moral responsibility that defined human civilization. And through every engagement, humans proved that being outnumbered was not a liability, but an opportunity to demonstrate the extraordinary capabilities of a species capable of turning every attack into a catastrophe for those who assumed they could dominate, control, or destroy. And in doing so, they redefined the very rules of galactic power, showing that intelligence, coordination, adaptability, and ethics could be more decisive than raw strength, and that a civilization underestimated and outnumbered could, through skill, ingenuity, and resolve, reshape the balance of the galaxy forever, leaving a legacy of cautionary tales, strategic brilliance, and enduring awe in the hearts and minds of every species that witnessed or learned of humanity's unmatched capabilities. By the time humans had fully extended their reach into contested sectors, it had become an unbreakable truth across the galaxy that no matter the size of the attacking force, no matter the sophistication of alien technology, no matter how confident or arrogant the civilization might be, humans consistently turned assaults against them into disasters of immense scale, and this pattern was not born of chance but of deliberate strategy, meticulous planning, and a culture that prized creativity, resilience, and moral responsibility. And as fleets from multiple alien empires attempted to coordinate joint campaigns to contain or suppress humanity, they found themselves increasingly outmaneuvered, as humans anticipated multi-pronged assaults, exploited interspecies rivalries, and used both psychological and technological means to fracture coordinated efforts, turning numerical superiority into a liability. And yet humans themselves were never reckless. They weighed every action, calculated every risk, and acted with a patience and precision that allowed them to maximize impact while minimizing unnecessary losses. And in doing so, they repeatedly demonstrated that a species underestimated could become a master of asymmetrical warfare, exploiting weaknesses inherent in enemy doctrine, psychology, and technology, often in ways that alien commanders could not even imagine. And as centuries of conflicts accumulated, humans continued to innovate, developing new weapons, defensive systems, and strategic protocols on the fly, integrating lessons learned from every encounter, and leveraging intelligence gathered from allies, former adversaries, and even the environments of the systems in which they operated, and the effect on alien morale was profound. Seasoned commanders who had once prided themselves on invincibility now hesitated, second-guessed, or outright refused to engage human forces without overwhelming precaution, knowing that even the smallest misstep could cascade into catastrophic loss. And humans themselves, aware of this growing reputation, maintained a disciplined focus on long-term objectives, continuing to protect weaker species, stabilize regions of conflict, and expand their influence in ways that reinforce both security and moral authority. And while alien powers debated how to respond, humans executed operations with remarkable efficiency, turning intelligence into action, reconnaissance into strategy, and every engagement into an opportunity to demonstrate their tactical brilliance, technological mastery, and ability to adapt to evolving threats. And even when confronted with unprecedented challenges such as novel alien technologies, unpredictable environmental phenomena, or complex interspecies politics, humans demonstrated a remarkable capacity to absorb, analyze, and exploit new information, integrating it seamlessly into both strategic planning and tactical execution, which allowed them to not only survive but thrive in situations that would have devastated less adaptable civilizations, and this combination of strategic foresight, technological innovation, and societal cohesion ensured that humans, though outnumbered, consistently held the upper hand, turning apparent disadvantage into decisive advantage, and as their influence spread, the galaxy began to recognize a singular truth: human ingenuity, discipline, and adaptability made them a species unlike any other, capable of reshaping conflicts, redirecting power dynamics, and redefining the rules of engagement, and even civilizations that had not yet faced humans directly began to alter fleets, policies, and diplomatic strategies out of caution, fearing the catastrophic consequences of underestimating a species whose every engagement, no matter the odds, resulted in disaster for their opponents, and within human society. This awareness did not breed arrogance but reinforce a culture of preparedness, responsibility, and collective effort, as scientists, engineers, strategists, and civilians all contributed to the resilience and effectiveness of the species, ensuring that every victory was a product not of luck or aggression, but of intelligence, coordination, and ethical decision-making. And as centuries passed, humans became both a stabilizing and catalytic presence across the galaxy, stabilizing regions through defense, alliances, and protection of weaker civilizations, and catalyzing change by demonstrating that numbers, technology, and hubris were not sufficient to guarantee victory, and the history books of alien civilizations came to record a single, consistent lesson: to underestimate humans is to court catastrophe, and no fleet, no weapon, no amount of preparation could guarantee success against a species that combined strategic brilliance, technological mastery, and ethical restraint in a way the galaxy had never seen. And yet humans themselves continued to act with a humility and purpose that had defined them for generations, expanding cautiously, protecting allies, innovating relentlessly, and demonstrating at every opportunity that being outnumbered was never a weakness but an arena in which their intelligence, coordination, and resolve could shine brightest, turning every conflict into both a lesson and a triumph, and solidifying a legacy that would endure for millennia, where the story of humanity was told not only as a tale of survival but as an example of how resilience, creativity, and moral responsibility can elevate a species beyond all expectations, and that in the vast and often chaotic galaxy, the name humanity became synonymous with a force that, though underestimated and outnumbered, consistently turned aggression into disaster for their enemies, proving that true power lies not merely in numbers or technology, but in the combination of intelligence, adaptability, and the unwavering will to defend, innovate, and endure, leaving an indelible mark on the galaxy that would inspire, caution, and all who followed their rise. By the time humanity had secured its place among the stars, the galaxy had come to understand a single, unavoidable truth: no matter the scale of aggression, no matter the confidence, arrogance, or technology of their enemies, humans were capable of turning every attack into catastrophe for the opposition, and this reputation was not the result of luck, chance, or brute force alone, but of centuries of accumulated knowledge, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to resilience, discipline, and strategic excellence. And as humans expanded into new systems, engaged with previously unknown civilizations, and encountered challenges beyond anything recorded in galactic history, they continued to adapt, evolve, and innovate, combining tactical brilliance, environmental mastery, and psychological insight to shape every encounter to their advantage. And this adaptability became the hallmark of their civilization, allowing them to thrive in chaos, overcome impossible odds, and maintain cohesion, morale, and effectiveness even when confronted with overwhelming numbers or unprecedented threats. And every fleet sent against them, every armada dispatched with confidence, inevitably met with outcomes that alien commanders could not have anticipated, as humans leveraged creativity, rapid decision-making, and foresight to convert disadvantage into decisive advantage. And yet, despite their overwhelming successes, humans acted with restraint, using their power not for indiscriminate conquest, but to protect allies, stabilize regions, and prevent unnecessary destruction. And this combination of unmatched capability and ethical action created a pattern of engagement that left alien civilizations both in awe and apprehension, knowing that aggression against humanity carried consequences far beyond simple defeat, extending to catastrophic losses, shattered command structures, destabilized empires, and long-lasting strategic disadvantage, and as humans integrated technology, strategy, and culture across generations, they created a civilization capable of maintaining superiority, influence, and resilience over the long term, with every citizen contributing to the collective strength through science, engineering, logistics, and intellectual endeavor, and the societal cohesion amplified the effectiveness of their military and diplomatic operations, ensuring that humans could operate on multiple fronts simultaneously while innovating, adapting, and preserving ethical standards. And over time, the galaxy's perception of humanity shifted from curiosity and dismissiveness to cautious respect and outright fear, as civilizations realized that even overwhelming numbers, advanced technology, and centuries of experience could not guarantee victory against a species that combined ingenuity, adaptability, and moral intelligence. And throughout this transformation, humans continued to explore, protect, and innovate, ensuring that their expansion and influence were guided by purpose, foresight, and ethical responsibility. And even in encounters with civilizations that had never directly engaged them, humans' reputation alone reshaped galactic diplomacy, strategy, and policy, creating an era in which caution and respect preceded conflict, and where the mere prospect of confronting humans caused planners to reconsider every assumption, strategy, and deployment. And as these lessons accumulated, humanity became a stabilizing and catalytic force across the stars, defending the vulnerable, influencing galactic politics, and redefining what it meant to wield power responsibly, while simultaneously demonstrating that outnumbered, underestimated, and dismissed civilizations could leverage intelligence, creativity, cohesion, and ethical results to achieve outcomes that far exceeded what simple numerical strength could deliver. And this combination of skill, innovation, and restraint ensured that every engagement with humans, whether military, diplomatic, or strategic, carried the risk of catastrophe for the aggressor, reinforcing a pattern repeated across centuries and light years. And by the time humans had become fully integrated into galactic affairs, the legend was firmly established, a species whose resilience, brilliance, and discipline transformed every attack against them into a cautionary tale of unimaginable consequence, whose ingenuity turned disadvantage into victory, whose ethical action tempered power with responsibility, and whose adaptability made them virtually impossible to defeat through conventional means. And the galaxy, having witnessed the cumulative effect of centuries of these outcomes, recognized that humanity was not merely another civilization among many, but a force that reshaped expectations, recalibrated power, and demonstrated the extraordinary potential of a species underestimated at its peril. And even as new generations of humans look toward exploration, discovery, and further expansion, they carried forward the lessons of every engagement, ensuring that the legacy of resilience, brilliance, and decisive capability would endure, and that the story of humanity, always outnumbered, always underestimated, yet always capable of turning attacks into catastrophe for their enemies, would echo across the stars for millennia, inspiring caution, respect, and awe in all who dared to witness the unfolding of a civilization that redefined what it meant to be powerful, adaptive, and unstoppable.